Namaste. A very warm welcome to day 18. The last 4 days, we watched the movie The Secret and applied few concepts that we have learned in that movie by getting into action and practicing few important concepts that has been mentioned in the movie. Moving forward, today I'm going to talk to you about one of the most important aspects of childhood. What is it? Any guess? To see if you have guessed it right, let's get started.
So, yes, did you get that right? Day 18, we are talking about the power of play. A quick follow up. Are you working on your passion? We found out what our passion is and we decided to start working on it to learn every day, whatever takes us closer to reaching our goal. So, have you been practicing it? How far have you come? How did your D day go? I am so proud of all of you guys who have followed it and you have shared your experience as to how it was a little difficult, but at the end of the day, you felt really good for achieving it, for being able to stay away from phone for 24 hours. If you have already done it, I'm super proud of you. And every time you finish it, you'll be feeling so good for what you have accomplished that I want you to immediately plan your next D day. When is your next D day going to be? Is it after a week or is it after a fortnight? So decide the date and fix it, slot it, plan it. Because things that get scheduled are the things that get done, right? So did you realize your phone dependency? Are you very dependent on phone? Are you addicted to phone? Or on your D day, were you able to finish it without much difficulty? If it was not difficult, it's an amazing thing. But if it was difficult, if you're getting tempted to use it, then that means there is a significant amount of dependency. If you were not able to finish 24 hours and you went back before that, it clearly shows that you're kind of addicted to it. So it would be good to start working on it. Once you know where you stand, you can work towards getting better. Child's play. What is play? Play is the work of children. To play is to learn. We see two aspects here. One is play and other is learn. I have heard few parents say, stop playing. It's now time to learn. Let's get into studying. But we have to remember to play is to learn. Kids learn a lot of things, a lot more than you can imagine by every small thing that they are playing. Sometimes it may look like they are doing nothing, but that is to our eyes. In everything that they are doing, in everything that they are seeing, they are observing, they are sinking in a lot of information, they are making their own meaning out of the situation. So it's very important to encourage children to play as much as possible and as long as possible throughout the day in different ways, giving them exposure to different aspects, supporting them, making sure that they have the atmosphere to play without disturbance or overstimulation. So it's very serious stuff. When people think that something is very easy, they refer to it as a child's play. Of course, child's play is very easy because it happens naturally with them. But just because it's easy or just because it's natural, it doesn't make it any less important. So it is very serious stuff, very important aspect of child's growth. Our children, from their earliest years, must take part in all the more lawful forms of play. For if they are not surrounded with such an atmosphere, they can never grow up to be well conducted and virtuous citizens. This is said by the greatest thinkers and philosophers of all times, Plato. Stages of play. Now, let's look at how children grow through different phases of play. Unoccupied play. Here, the kids are not doing anything, or it appears so. They are just seeing something, observing something, or making some body movements, which are repeated body movements, like nodding their head or shaking their hand. But to an onlooker, it looks like the child is unoccupied. Independent or solitary play. Here, The child plays on its own without any help or without any playmate. This can be with toy or without toy, but the child is playing on its own. Onlooker. The child is observing. When others are playing, the child sits back and observes what they are playing. This doesn't mean it is a waste of time. The child is making sense of the outside world and understanding things that are interesting to the child. When my son Samudra was in a play school, during the parents' meet, the teacher called me and she was hesitant to say that my child doesn't involve in any kind of play. She even suggested that I take him to a child psychologist because for her it looked like he had some problem. My son was around 1.5 years and I had put him to school a little early because I had just delivered my second child and I didn't want him to get bored at home. I assured the teacher that there is nothing wrong with my child and he is fully active at house. What I realized is that my son was observing. He was not good at social skills yet, so he could not get along with other children and play. The other children of his class were a little over his age and also they had been attending school for quite some time. So each child will be different. There are children who immediately start playing with other kids once they are into school, but not all kids are same. I pulled out my son from the school as I felt he was not ready for it yet, and I enrolled him back to school once he was 3 years 10 months to LKG. And now it was a total different scene. When I went to school to pick him up, he would call every other person from his class by their name and talk to them. So remember, if your child is not involving with other kids and playing yet, don't worry. It may be one of these first three stages where he's still not comfortable playing with others. You may have to slowly encourage playing with others. For that, the child has to feel confident with the social skills. So it's important to have good communication and conversation with the child yourself so that he'll be able to go out and talk to others and interact with others from outside the family too. Parallel play. This is when two kids are playing, but they are not playing together. Each person is playing his own game. They don't have a common game, they don't have a common toy, and they don't even interact with each other. This is called a parallel play because the lines never meet, right? So their games never meet. And then is associative play, where the kids are now good at social skills. They talk to the other person in the room, but their play is different. Their toys that they are playing with is different. And the games that they are playing is different. But still, there is conversation between the kids. Cooperative play. This is when everything comes to place. The children interact with each other. The children play with the same toys or they plan a game and play together. So it is more interactive. It's a team game. Benefits of play. It stimulates early brain development. It improves intelligence because every game that they're playing, they're observing, they're learning new skills, they're making some meaning out of it. It helps in creative thinking. For example, when they are playing pretend plays, they're going to use something as a gun. They're going to cook using the little utensils. So it encourages them to think creatively, to create a situation, to create things that they need for the play, and to enact the whole game. It improves communication, vocabulary, and language. This is where the social skills come into picture. When they are having a cooperative play, they communicate with other kids, right? They plan. They say, okay, fine, you are the shopkeeper, I am the customer. So let's play this game. I'm going to give you change. Let's use this as money. Let this be the notes. Let this be the vegetables. So they're going to talk and it improves their language and vocabulary. It helps in emotional regulation. When they are playing competitive games, they'll have to take turns. For once, if you are a doctor, you need to give chance to another person to be a doctor. So here they understand that you can't always decide. And when the game is competitive, they understand that there is both winning and losing in a game. When they lose, they should be able to manage their emotions, to overcome their sad feeling, to take it positively, and to get back to playing with more zeal. These are some basic benefits, and there are a lot more benefits that they'll get out of play. For example, when they are having a physical play, their muscles are going to get strong. They're going to run and jump, which makes them active and energetic. So, for each thing, there is its own benefits. And when you really observe when the child is playing, you will be able to figure out yourself as to how this particular game is helping the child. Now, let's talk about some types of play: physical or large motor play. Here, the kids are jumping, running, hopping, where the large muscles are used in a play. Here, they get physically tired. They are going to dissipate their energy. And this form of play is very important, as with the present condition and situation where we do not have a lot of place in the apartments or flats that we stay, or we don't really let the kids out to go on their own and play like we did during our childhood. As young as LKG and UKG, I remember going out to play with my friends, and we would go from one friend's house to another. We would go from a temple to near the tank. We would run around, jump around, go climb a tree. And if it is a Sunday, we would go out in the morning, play so much, sweat. And the parents had to literally bring us back home to eat. We would even forget eating food, right? And we would come back home also late. But now we'll be so worried as to where our kids are. Then our parents wouldn't even know where we were. They would still believe that we would be safe. This is not possible in the present situation, which is sad, but I also understand the concern. It's not as safe as it was before. So, with all these limitations, we have to provide an atmosphere to the kids where they will be able to dissipate their energy, to physically get active and sweat and become tired. How do we do this? We can plan outings every week to an open park, to somewhere close to nature, where they get to see the sun, they get to feel the wind. So basically, having some sort of outdoor play. Fine motor play, when they have to use their fine motor skills, sensitive things, delicate things, things that are not very easy to do. Younger kids will even find it difficult to hold a little thing. This is called as pincer grasp, right? Once they get that, they'll be able to do delicate activities. And once they get this grip is when they can hold the pencil and write. So it's very important not to rush them into these activities, because children take their own time for this skill to develop. Here in the picture, you can see my kids are using a toothpick to stick the pulses and grains on the picture using Fevicol. This took a long time to finish, almost 3 hours. Once the kid is 3 plus, they'll have interest to do things which will take longer time. You can also break it into parts and do one part a day. For example, in this, we did the face and the ears on one day and the stomach and legs on the other day. Here is another example of fine motor play where they solve puzzles. So to be able to join in two pieces that go together is also a fine motor skill. Mastery play, where they want to master a skill. In this picture, they both were trying to get on to the same cycle, and I told them that it may be difficult. But they didn't give up till both of them were able to fit onto the seat, and they coordinated in such a way that one person was pedaling and the other person balanced it. So when the child decides to master something, it's called a mastery play. To be able to be good at something, to be able to complete something, to be able to achieve something. Another example would be to learn how to make a paper boat. So you teach them, they follow you, and they would not stop till they are able to do it on their own. I think Samudra has done over 100 boats since he has learned how to make a boat, because once he got the skill, he was so happy that he has mastered the skill that he goes on and on making a boat. And even the younger one, when he wants a boat, he goes to his brother and asks him to make one for him. So such kind of play is called as mastery play. Rules based play, when we have rules to play a game, like snake and ladder, like carom, like chess. So we have rules and we teach the kids that we have to follow particular rules and the steps that are needed to continue the game. Who will be the winner? Who will lose? What are the rules? How to go about it? So these are rules based play. Constructive play is when you construct things out of the material that you have. It can be Lego blocks, building blocks. It can be arranging the vessels in the kitchen. It can be creating something with clay, making models out of clay. So you're constructing something, right? So in this picture, you can see a bridge is built. We had gone to Lalbagh and they both dug a ditch and they built a bridge on the ditch by placing the twigs parallel to each other first, and then again they placed it parallelly perpendicular to what they had placed at the first level. Here you can see he was so happy that once it was built, he walked on it and he crossed the ditch, walking on the bridge that he had made himself. So it was a very satisfying feeling for them. Pretend play, fantasy play, or symbolic play, where you take the role of a person, or you imagine yourself to be someone, or you use things as a symbol. This is a pretend play as a police officer. And this is a game that we played during Krishna Janmashtami. I gave them a task where I hung a basket on top. I filled a white cloth in it and said, it's butter. So this is symbolic. You're using white cloth as butter. So this is symbolic play. And I told them that they are Krishna and I wanted them to steal the butter. So here in the first picture, you can see that he is trying to reach it with the bat, but he was not able to reach it. And then the little one came with a chair. This is what is called as cooperative play. They were planning as to how to reach it. So they decided to use the chair, and even then he was not able to reach it. Then they got a part of the slide, which was a step ladder, and the little one tried to reach it, but in vain. So he asked his brother to try it, as Samudra is taller than Nakshatra. This is how they plan. This is the things that they understand. These are the challenges that we have to give them to be able to plan and execute it. Here comes the problem solving skills, right? And then finally, Samudra was able to reach it. So our Krishna got his butter. So here he's being Lord Ganesha, and here he came with bow and arrow and he said he is Rama. This is a bird feeder that they made. So it's a symbolic play where they are using a paper, creating a space and calling it a bird's nest. They kept some food in it and said it is for the birds to come eat and they can stay here if they want shelter. Here, my little one used paper rolls as arrows and he used a steel cup as a quiver behind him. I loved it how he planned and put the cup inside his shirt so that it stays there. As an adult, I think I would have thought of an extra arrangement where I would tie a string to the glass and then tie it around his shoulders. But the kids are so creative that they think more creatively than us. Clearly, I have experienced it many times. Only if we give them the chance to be creative. And here, the little one drew a lollipop on the paper and he used scissors to cut it in its shape. And he gave one lollipop to the elder brother, and then they wanted me to click a picture with both of them eating the lollipop that they had just created. And here, they're making medicine for corona. Since the COVID-19 situation started, they have done this for many days, where they bring out some leaves from the garden, they add some pepper powder or turmeric into it, and say that they are inventing medicines to overcome corona. Language play, where they are playing games related to language, learning letters or making words out of the letters, learning a new language in a fun way, in a way that's fascinating for them. I see parents rushing to teach alphabet and numbers to kids, but I want to mention this, no offense to anyone, but just to make sure I put this point across. I never taught alphabet to my kid till he went to school. So Samudra was 3.10 when he went to school. He did not know writing. All that he would write was to scribble, and slowly it started taking form as he would write in a straight line, whatever he was writing. It had no meaning. Of course, it had meaning to him because I am someone who believes in slow parenting. And once he started going to school, he started writing all the alphabet neatly. And now people ask me, how is his handwriting so beautiful? What have I done to teach him write like that? And the most important thing I did is, according to me, I didn't push him or rush him to write things. So the kids should write only when they are ready to write, not at least till 3 years. Of course, if the child is showing interest to write, it's still okay to let him try, but don't have a plan and structure to complete it in a particular way. Go slow and let the child explore. And here in this picture, My little one, he's 4 years old now, and he still does not know all the 26 alphabet. And during the time I clicked this picture, he knew only to write till P. I was amazed looking at him making a word with the crayons. I asked him what it is, and he said Oreo. And I asked him how we learnt it, and he said it's his favorite biscuit, and he had seen it on the pack of the biscuit. Isn't that amazing? This is how the kids give us reason to be overjoyed. Looking at their creativity, looking at their observation, looking at how amazingly creative they are. So, how did he learn? It was through sight. He had observed the letters as some symbols and he remembered it. He had registered it in his brain and so he was able to reproduce it. So, here is Scrabble, and there are a lot of games like this which work on the language building skills. Then it's art play, where kids are engrossed in art. Art is a great way of learning. You learn a lot of things. You learn to concentrate. You learn to understand the play of colors, how one color interacts with other, what new color comes when you mix two colors. So there is a lot to explore in art. And here you can see my little one painting his palms. Most of the times, the kids choose not to paint on the paper, but on everything else. This is the starting stage, and it's fine. And people ask how safe it is to let the child paint on his own hands. It is poster colors, but I have been letting them do it for years, and I haven't encountered any problem so far. There was this phase where Samudra would only mix colors. It was tempting for me to say that he need to create something on the paper. But with great difficulty, I held myself back because I wanted him to explore and to see what he wants to get out of it. What is he trying to understand? He was clearly experimenting. And most of the time, with every color, he would add black. Every color mixing would end up being black or a very dark color. You know, as parents, it's very difficult for us to sit back and watch. We would be tempted to say that if we mix a lot of black into any color, the color will turn out to be dark. But instead of saying, I decided to wait for him to understand that on his own. And of course, he understood that. So, what I'm trying to tell you is don't rush into creating something when your kids are trying to learn something. Give them the time to explore, to create their own meaning out of whatever they are trying. Even when you get a new toy, don't already show them how to play with it. Just give it to them and see what are the creative ways they'll come up with to play with the same toy that we would have never thought about. So remember, before teaching them what to do and before trying to get an outcome out of everything that they are doing, let them enjoy the process. Let them explore and let them experiment, because like that they are going to come up with much more things than you can imagine. So here my son is finger painting, and here we are making some craft using scissors. So these are all art play. Sensory play, where we use our five senses, where we touch, we feel, we smell, we see, we taste, right? This is extremely important, especially with younger kids, because they are understanding the world around them through the senses. So it's important to let them touch things of different texture, different feel, to let them taste different texture of food, for them to experience what is hot, what is cold, what is safe, what is not. And here I am with my little one doing pottery. And I still remember this experience because the mud was extremely cold. And it felt very nice in the hand. It felt so great to touch it and feel the mud and the soft, squishy feeling. Here is my little one playing with kinetic sand. They have loved kinetic sand and they still love to play with it. So it's a great investment. If you do not have kinetic sand, please consider buying one because the kids love the texture. I have heard of few children who hate to touch the kinetic sand. So maybe you should try with little quantity and see how your kid likes it. Kitchen is a great place to experiment, to learn science and a lot of things, to feel the heat, to feel the texture of different products, to smell different products like lavanga, like cinnamon, like ilachi. And they also get to touch different textures. Here my kids are peeling potatoes and then they also mash it. I involve them in as much as activities possible with whatever I'm doing, be it cooking, be it cleaning, be it folding clothes, or be it washing vessels, or be it sorting. It's very important to involve them and make them a part of your daily chores, because like that you're teaching them to be independent and they are learning a lot of new skills. You don't always need toys to teach to your kids or to keep them engaged. Look around you, and everything around you can be, in a way, something that they can play with. Of course, you should also teach them what is unsafe to play with: wires, switchboards, sharp objects. So, talk even about this with your kids, that they are not allowed to touch this, or they can touch it when it's the right age for them. You would let them use it once they are ready for it. Then, rough and tumble play. Here you can see my kids fighting with each other. It's important to have a rough and tough play like this, but make sure you provide them a safe atmosphere. I also put the mattress on the floor and protect it with pillows around near the walls and let them fight or tumble over or play and do pulties, the cartwheels, or anything that they want to try. So tell them that they can't do it anywhere else, and you would provide them a place to do that, and they can do it only in your presence. So you can see that my kids are pillow fighting. Here they said they are the Pailwans, so they are fighting without shirt. They are doing the kusti. We also need to set rules like no hitting on the face, no punching, no pinching, no scratching. All these things we can communicate and make them understand slowly. But to start with, you give them the basic rules and they'll enjoy it so much that they'll be ready to listen to your rules. Again, this is the rough and tough play where they are touching the mud, climbing, and getting dirty. All of this is important. He's collected the twigs and has got it, and using the same, he had built the bridge. I'd shown the picture already to you. Risk taking play. I told you about the helicopter parenting, where they are constantly making sure that the kids do not take any risk. They are overprotective. But it's important for the kids to take risks, otherwise, they won't know to challenge themselves. And falling and getting hurt is a part of childhood. And every time the child is pushing to know its limit, he'll know what is safe and what is unsafe. If the child gets hurt, the child is going to learn to be careful the next time. This will also give them an idea of boundaries of safety and to understand what's safe and what is not. Then, nature play. It's very important to spend some time with nature. Every single day would be an ideal thing, but at least 3 times a week, make sure that your kids are getting to have some time under the sun or under the tree, a place where they are close to nature. You can take them to the terrace and let them soak in sun for some time. You can include them in gardening. I love taking them to Lal Bagh because Lal Bagh is a place that I love the most and my kids love it too. And the kind of creativity they come out with is amazing there because there are so many natural things around, like twigs, dried leaves, and rocks and trees. So they make their own game, run, enjoy, and have complete fun. I've never seen them have as much as fun they have at Lal Bagh in any other place. It also means getting them used to the animals. It's important for them to understand that we all co live and we are dependent on each other in one or another way. And if they have a pet at home to take care of, it's another amazing thing because they are going to learn how to take care of another living being. It becomes like their responsibility. And they are emotionally going to get much more equipped when they have pets while growing up. And to play in water, to play in the rain. So, playing in open air and close to nature enriches their play experience. Competitive play, where there is competition. We see who wins or who loses or who comes first, like running race, frog race, lemon and spoon, or who'll finish it first, who'll clean up the room first, all these kind of games. Here is a color hunt game we played where I announce a color and they go out searching in the house for all things that is in that color. So whoever finds more number of objects will be the winner. So here you can see groups of things belonging to red, green and blue family. So these are the different types of games. There can be much more, but this is a broad classification. If you can think of anything more, please do message me on the WhatsApp group and let me know. It would be amazing to know your ideas too. So let's review that again. Types of play. 1. Physical or large motor play. 2. Fine motor play. 3. Mastery play. 4. Rules-based play. 5. Constructive play. 6. Pretend, fantasy or symbolic play. 7. Language play. 8. Art play. 9. Sensory play. 10. Rough and tumble play. 11. Risk-taking play. 12. Nature play. And 13. Competitive play. Now let's look at how we can encourage and support children in their play. 1. Participate. It's very important to include yourself in the child's play. This gives you a great sense of happiness and joy and also a chance to bond better with each other. You don't have to play like this the whole time. Plan at least 10 to 20 minutes every day where you play along with them. Encourage mistakes. Like I said, every time you get a new toy, don't already teach them how to use it. Let them explore. And when they make mistakes, let them try to correct it themselves. Only when they ask you for help is when you have to jump in to help them overcome the problem. Create a play space. I know the kids can play anywhere in the house, but if you have the privilege to do it, create a little space. I'm not talking about some lavish, well-decorated place, but a little space where it is inviting for them to play. You can keep some toys at their reach where they can pull out and play it on their own any part of the day that they want. Of course, keep toys that you think they should play under your supervision in a place they can't reach, maybe on the upper shelf of the cupboard. And in their reach, keep things that they can play with on their own. Some toys, some writing material like paper, crayons, craft materials that they can use to play on their own or to create their own stuff. So once this is done, step back. Let them play as independently as possible. Don't interfere. To make them independent is very important. One of the most important things that a parent should do is to make the child as independent as possible, as early as possible. We, without our knowledge, usually have this need to make the kids dependent on us. The faster they become independent, it may bother few parents that the kids no more need them. But for the optimal growth of the kids, it's important for us to make them independent. I want to talk about some more points. Try getting as many open-ended toys as possible. Open-ended is that when toys don't have just one way of playing with it, you can play with it multiple ways. So these are called as open-ended toys. There are few toys which you can use only in one way. For example, a battery-operated gun. You can use that only as a gun. So instead, buy things like building sets where they can do a lot of things using the toy. Don't be gender biased. I had a toys business a few years ago, and I would be shocked when parents asked, "Show me toys for boys. What toys do you have for girls?" Samu's first most favorite toy was a kitchen set, and it was a pink kitchen set. He loved playing with it. He could go for hours playing with it. But sadly, I see parents of boys freaking out if they have to buy a toy which is pink in color. There is no color to gender, right? This is what that we have given meaning, right? There may be few things which are naturally wired in male and female bodies, but let us not be the one that will put this thought into the child's head. If you do not know, I have two sons and I put mehendi on their hands because they like it. They see me applying and they ask it. And I say, why not? If you like it, I'll apply it for you. They have tried applying nail polish. So what? Somebody even went to the extent to say, if I continue doing this, They may become transgenders or hijras when they grow up. I don't know how they had the guts to come up and tell that to me, but they did. I, of course, got a little angry that they were saying something like that, but I realized where they came from. That is the kind of society, that is the kind of upbringing that they have had. So, this is what they believe in. And also, just playing with a pink colored toy or playing with a kitchen set won't make any child a transgender or a hijra or whatever the society thinks. And even if someday our kids come out telling us that they belong to sexual minorities, we should be in the mindset to accept them even the way they are. Because love is unconditional, right? Would we stop loving our kids for their sexual orientation? It is not what they choose, it is what they feel or how they want to be. This may sound like a huge topic, but I am a clinical psychologist and I have done my research paper on this, working with sexual minorities. I know their struggles, I know what their life is. So I would love to take every opportunity to talk and let the parents know that it's perfectly fine to have a child who belongs to the sexual minority. You can't change it. You can't change the way you feel. And even if you do that, remember that your kids are not going to be happy being what you expect of them instead of being what they truly are. I'm sure not everyone will agree with this. If you want to discuss more about this, we can do this in one of the live sessions, live question and answer sessions. And I would love to talk more about it if you're interested in knowing more. Moving forward, so let toys not be classified sex-wise. What your kids like is what they like, and giving them what they want to explore is the best thing that the parent can do. Give them the freedom to choose. When they want to buy a toy, you don't buy something because something is trending on the internet, or many mothers are buying it, or many fathers are buying it, or it's the most happening thing. It's a matter of status to have this expensive toy. No. Understand the interests of your child. This is exactly why we made a list of strengths and interests of the child. Let the child see if he likes the toy. Maybe trying the toys of his friends or try a toy library. And if the child likes, you can buy it. Like this, you're giving the choice to the child, and the child feels important and respected. And also make sure you don't over provide kids with a lot of toys. I have visited few friends' place where I see the kids have truck full of toys. I am not kidding. It's shocking to see how much they have. So be wise in choosing the toys for your kids. And when you go out to shop, you can tell the child that he can choose one toy out of all the toys there. Like that, the child will also learn to make decisions, to choose out of all the toys. And once the child picks a toy, ask why did he pick this? Why did he choose to give up on the other toys? So understand what made him take this decision. Encourage and appreciate. When the child is playing something, like a pretend play, when the child has come up with something creative, I know most of the times we'll be busy on our phone, but we have learned how not to be a distracted parent. So the next time the child is trying to show you something, give your attention to the child, encourage what he is doing, and if you like what he has come up with, appreciate. Again, remember, don't criticize or over appreciate. Even if what the child has done does not seem very interesting to you, at least acknowledge for the attempt that the kid has made. Guide when needed and ask for. Don't always jump to help the kids. Don't always try to tell them what to do or how better he could have done. Try to keep yourself back till the child asks himself for your help. Sit back and enjoy. Don't forget to observe them, to understand them better, and enjoy how creative and innocent that they are and the beautiful experiences that they give you, being just that little child of yours doing amazing, fascinating things. So don't forget to enjoy this phase. Now, let's look into the challenges that we may face. Less is more, don't hold. Like I already said, just by providing a lot of toys to your kids, you're not going to make their childhood beautiful. It is the time that you give them and the support and encouragement that they need. Also, when they have less toys, they get more creative as they learn to use whatever they have in different ways. Let them choose, but have rules. You'll have to find balance. Like I already mentioned, when you go out for shopping, make sure that you have rules as to what they can buy, what they cannot buy. And if they throw a tantrum, that they will not be allowed to buy another toy, or they will not be taken to the shop next time. So, by having set rules like this, you'll teach them decision making. Suppose they even throw a tantrum when you're outside shopping that they want something, don't be embarrassed. I know it's difficult to let the people see how badly your child is behaving. Maybe the child usually falls on the floor, cries, creates a scene, but don't change the rules you have set if you think it's important to stick by. As if you give in once, the child is going to learn this. The child will understand that when it creates a temper tantrum, you're going to listen to its demands. So the next time you say a no, the child knows what to do. It will throw another tantrum. On the other hand, if you have your rules and say, no, I will not let you buy two toys. Buy one if you want, or we can go back home. You can choose only one. So when you are firm like this, the child understands that the parent will not change the rules even when the child throws the tantrum. So the next time the child thinks of throwing a tantrum, he or she will understand that it will be of no use. So the child may choose not to do it. Play rules. Set rules for play. That every time they finish playing, they have to put the toys back in its place. If they do not listen to it, you will not let them play with their favorite toy the next time. Don't punish the child and say, if you don't put the toys back, I'm going to hit you. That won't work. That is punishment. Instead, take out something that the child likes. You can also say, if you don't put the toys back in its place, you will not get your TV time. So, only once you put it back, you can watch TV. Like this, it will force the child to listen to the rules without you having to punish the child. Tantrums. I already told you how to handle it. Destructive behavior. It's not okay for the child to destroy things. Sometimes, when the child is in a bad mood, he may throw things, break things. At that moment, it's important for you to stop the child's behavior. And once the child is more stable emotionally, you can sit and talk as to how the behavior is not acceptable. But even before this, what we have to understand is that when the child is behaving badly, the child may be disturbed emotionally. So, to talk and solve it is important. Self play. It's very, very important to make the child independent and let the child be able to play on its own. But this doesn't come at once. You may have to work for it. Be there, sit with the child and play, and after a few days, you can sit a little far from the child and do your work while the child is playing. And after some time, maybe you can sit a little far on the sofa and let the child play. So, like this, you're not suddenly distancing yourself from the child. And once the child gets used to it, you can be in one room and let the child play in another room. So take the steps and not the lift when you want to make the child play independently. When you have two or more children, how do you handle it? Buy in multiples only if it is required. I know things like pencils or pens, you need two if you have two children. But if it is a toy, like a building block, there's no point buying the same product in two numbers, right? It is important to teach them to share, and they have to wait for their turn. If it is something that they can't play together, if it is something that only one child can play at a time, you can either say, today the older child will play and tomorrow the younger child will play, or you can plan in hours. The first hour let the older child play, and the next hour let the younger child play. And again, the question will come as to who should take the toy first. We can then toss a coin. So whoever wins the toss will get to play with the toy first. And the other person has to wait for the next hour or for the next day. Responsibility. Make each other responsible for the toy and responsible for each other. Try to build that bond between them in such a way that they care for other person and they would want to include the other child in the game too. Encourage cooperation. So when they are playing together, appreciate them. Say that you are happy and you are proud of how they are playing with each other, how well they are sharing the toy, how well one child is taking care of the other child. So when you encourage and appreciate, they'll do more of it. Love and care. Teach them the importance of sharing and let them have a healthy competition.
Don't compare them in a way that they feel bad. Don't say things like, "Look at your brother, he's so good at it, you're no good. Look at her, she's doing it so well, you can't even hold a pencil properly." So, when you compare like this, they are going to feel hurt, they may feel jealous, or the worst, they may even start hating their siblings.
And having a good bonding between the kids is a very important aspect. And as parents, we should try to do that our best and never talk in front of others as to how one child is good and the other is not. It is going to affect their self esteem to a great extent. So, this should be the kind of cooperation between the siblings. Dream big, my child. Go get anything that you desire. This is one of my favorite statements. I do not remember who said it. I read it long back, even before I was married, and I made sure I remember this because I wanted to follow it. I will never tell you what to be, as your potential may be much more than my expectations from you. This is so true, right? That we keep telling that, I want my child to be this, I want him to be that. It's okay to have your dreams, but don't restrict your children with the dreams that you have, because they might be capable of doing much more beautifully and they may be capable of being much more successful than the plans that you have for your children. So let them grow, let them flourish. Our job as parents is to nurture their growth, to be there as support and to encourage them, and sit back and see how the kids grow and take their own leap. Today's task, guys. What is your takeaway from this lesson? I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I want you to understand, what did you learn from today's lesson? What did you decide or plan? Do you think you could have done something better? Or do you think that you want to plan something in a certain way? I give you a list of different kind of games. You may want to sit down and try each of it so that you don't miss any of it, so that you cover every areas of play. So you decide and plan today. And then let me know what your plan is. I will be waiting for your task completion message on WhatsApp.
That was so much information, right? We knew play is important, but did we know that there were different kinds of play and as to how important each kind of play is? Now, the greatest thing that we have realized is most of the learning happens through play, and it is the most essential thing for our kids to play, to explore, and to learn. So, the next time your kid is playing, don't see it just as a child's play. See it as an important activity that's happening and an amazing growth time that the kid is going through. Also, remember to spend some time every day playing along with your kids. It is a great exercise both for you and your kids. You will be able to bond much better with your kids once you start being in their world, becoming a part of their imagination, becoming a part of their play. How do you do that? By involving yourself with them during their playtime. Have an amazing playtime with your kids and a great day. See you all tomorrow. Take care.